What's up everybody, Jason Frausto for TennisUnleashed.net, and in this video I'm going to do a backhand technique breakdown of Taylor Fritz's backhand. So if you want to see what makes his backhand so good, stay tuned because it's coming up next. Alright, so Taylor Fritz has a very good, technically sound two-hand backhand. I want to go through some of the technical checkpoints on that side that you can implement and use on your own two-handed backhand. So let's take a close look at his technique now. The first thing that we want to look at, right? Basic split step. And he does a very good job of maintaining rhythm. That's something that we talked about in other videos, but having rhythm and getting that split step established with your feet. So good split step here. We can see on the split step, the feet are wider than shoulder width apart on a split step. That's standard. That's what we want to see for players. Got a nice bounce to his step. And then from this position here, we see a couple of really good technical checkpoints. The first thing that we see on this particular backhand and that's interesting is that the racket head here is just above the height of his hand. Some players on their two-handed backhand, they'll take that two-hander and they'll bring the racket head all the way up to the top of the shoulders or even higher as they prepare the backhand. You can see Fritz here, he raises it up as it comes back a little bit more and he's starting to bend the knees a little bit and get that front shoulder dipped down. But in the beginning, as he's coming through here, he prepares with the racket head low and then has it above his hands as he brings it back. Another thing that's really important, it's a little tough to see from this angle, but you can see after the split step, his shoulders are level and even across, right? They're the same height at that point. When you go to hit your two-hander, one of the most important things is to have your chin looking over your front shoulder and your front shoulder will be dipped as you do that, okay? So a lot of times if you just put that chin over the front shoulder, that will dip your front shoulder down. So at this point, Fritz's back shoulder, this one right here, is much higher than his front shoulder. So you want to have a little bit of shoulder dip when you do that. The next thing we're looking for here very often on a good two-handed backhand is we're looking for what we call a closed stance with the feet, right? That's the preferred stance on a two-handed backhand when we can get it, is to have the front foot here, the right foot, out in front of the back foot or the left foot. It crosses in front like this, okay? So that's something that we're looking for on a lot of two-handed backhands. It's not always gonna happen, but when you're hitting from especially the ad side here, you definitely wanna make sure that that happens. The next thing that I'm really looking for is this racket head to come from this position, and I want that racket head to end up from above the hands to below the hands. And how does Taylor get the racket head to come below his hands right here like this? What he does is as he starts to uncoil his body and plant that front foot down, so watch the old heel to toe as we like to call it, heel to toe. So the heel comes down first on the front foot and then the toe comes down on that front foot. So a heel to toe step here, and then he relaxes his wrists, okay? So you need to relax your wrists from this position right here down into this position. I want to see wrist relaxation to help drop the racket head below the hands here, okay? You can't keep your wrists really rigid at this stage of the swing, otherwise you're going to end up not getting the racket head below the ball. The next thing that I'm looking for is a couple of things at contact, and we can take those from Taylor here. He does a great job on his two-hander. The first thing that I'm looking for is to have the tip of the racket head slightly down if I'm trying to hit topspin on the shot. So he has it slightly down instead of straight across or above the ball. If he was hitting a little flatter earlier, it might be above the ball. And the second thing that I'm looking for here is the hitting hands should be visibly on the left side of your body at contact on a two-hander. And this is a problem some top players had. In fact, Matteo Berrettini had this problem on his two-hander and has put some work in to improve his two-handed backhand, but his spacing on his two-hander was poor. Berrettini's hands would frequently be hidden by his body from this back view, which means you're jammed on the shot. Fritz doesn't have that problem. Fritz's hands, the hitting hands, are on the hitting side of the body at contact with the ball. That is a standard checkpoint of a good two-handed backhand. We want to see that every single time. You have to have space to give yourself some leverage. And then the next thing is, as he finishes, he's got those eyes down at contact with the ball. And then on the finish, on a standard two-hander, what we want to see is we want to see this racket face right here kind of make this rainbow shape and point towards the opponent as we finish on a standard two-hand backhand drive most of the time. One other thing we can pick up here as well with the feet and the legs is that his back leg swings around, and as his back leg swings around here, it's going to help him push off if he needs to go to this side of the court for any reason on the next shot. So those are some really valuable and important things you can learn from Taylor Fritz's backhand to help implement within your own backhand or teaching other people how to hit a proper two-handed backhand. Just as a quick review, we'll walk through those again really quick here. We started with the split step, right? Wider than shoulder width apart. The next thing we were looking for is the racket head here to be above the hitting hands as you bring the racket back, okay? I'm not too concerned about the height of the racket, just that it's above the hitting hands. The next thing we pointed out technique-wise was that his front shoulder should be lower than his back shoulder back here. Front shoulder should be lower with the chin on your face, right? Looking over that front shoulder. The next thing we talked about is the relaxation of the hitting hands here to get the racket head to drop below those hands. You have to have a low to high swing on most of your shots to be effective. So we start above the hands in the beginning, and then we relax those hands and start to plant and rotate and relax them to get it below the ball here, the racket head. Another thing we mentioned, right, was the heel hitting the court first on the front foot as we step in, and then the toe hitting after, so heel to toe footwork. We also talked about using a closed stance in the vast majority of two-handed backhands we have, especially if you're a righty hitting from the ad side of the court on this side of the court, very important. Contact here, we have proper spacing. The tip of the racket is just below the ball as far as it tilting a little bit down for topspin. Also, spacing-wise, the hitting hands should be on the hitting side of the body visibly from the back view, so we have proper spacing. There are touring pros out there that struggle with this and don't have proper spacing on their backhands. The strings of the racket should be pointed towards your opponent as you follow through, if you're hitting a topspin drive most of the time. And then this back leg here from Taylor is going to come around, plant, and recover so he can go back to this side of the court if he needs to, or get ready on this side of the court as well. So hopefully those technical checkpoints from Taylor Fritz's backhand are helpful to you. If you saw something that I didn't bring up or you feel is very valuable, drop that in the comments below. Share that with other people. Share the knowledge that you have as a player or as a coach at any level. So I hope you found this technique analysis breakdown helpful. All right, so that wraps it up for our technique analysis breakdown of Taylor Fritz's backhand. If you found this video helpful or you feel like you learned something today, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. I'm Jason Frausto for TennisUnleashed.net. I'll see you next time.